Happy Friday, America. This is Bryan Rudnick coming to you from the Rally for the Republic headquarters, reminding you it's on like Donkey Kong. What does that mean? Well, Michelle and Mrs. Obama just anointed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democrat nominee. And when they thought they owned the news cycle, Trump came in and trumped it all, because that's what he does best. And I'll explain more after the break.
This is a battle cry for the American way of life and a relentless pursuit of truth and justice. It comes from a voice with unmatched experience and unyielding resolve. Join us as we dissect current events and tip the scales in your favor. This is Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
So, what happened? You're wondering? Here I am, Bryan Rudnick, Rally for the Republic, back in the studio where I belong instead of the road, to explain to you all the events of the week and how it concludes before what could be the next most eventful weekend of your life. Well, hopefully you have something better to do in a nice hot summer day than worry about Kamala, Donald, and all the rest of their friends. But here's where we're at. Okay, it's the end of the week where, for the first time that you can remember, a president decided that he no longer wanted to serve his party as their nominee because he just wanted to unite them. Somewhere in the speech, I must have missed that part about stopping the threats to democracy. We're all about uniting the country. No, it was about the new generation of useful idiots that they want to serve. So, what does he do? He says Kamala is the choice, and boom, bang, boom. The DNC's got to fast track this whole process. And here we are with the Obamas just coronating and anointing Kamala today, trying to own the news cycle. You got a poll after poll now coming out saying Kamala is neck and neck with Donald Trump. And they're trying to scare America, and they got women for Kamala, and they got like donkeys for Kamala, and they got abortionists for Kamala, and they're Zoom calling like crazy with tens and thousands of people coming. You haven't heard one time there be a real alpha males for Kamala yet. That hasn't happened. That won't happen. I mean, heck, even Dougie, the man she supposedly married to, was busy in a cycling class with his gay friends when he learned the news this week. So why should you be in any better position? Joe wasn't interested in uniting the country. And guess what? Kamala's going to be even worse. And that's why Republicans should actually fear what's going to happen. Yes, we got to hope that America hears what I have to say next about Kamala Harris, and that the GOP does its job and Donald does what Donald does best. Because as we heard a few days ago, he's a luchadora. He's this man's a fighter. He doesn't give up. And he's going to drive home the points, but other people got to do it for him too. And we're going to get there, but let's address the polling, okay? Because the legacy media, the leftists who were so happy America's DEI nominee is going to be leading this country. So what are they telling you? Oh my God, she's neck and neck and it's looking amazing. Yeah, she got a media bump, okay? But let's be real. You've heard people talk about polling on this podcast before, and I'm just going to lay in a couple of facts to help you realize every time you hear these polls, what you need to think about. Okay? Number one, it's fresh, so there's going to be a bump. Number two, they're not making an educated decision. They haven't heard the full story. They've heard media hype. They haven't told you, are these likely voters? Are these registered voters? Are these high propensity voters? Are they Republicans? Are they Democrats? Are they independents? Are they Green Party affiliated? In what states? What was the margin of error? Is it even a representative sample of American society? No, they're not going to tell you that. And they're not going to break it down to were more people in Connecticut and Rhode Island when they took the poll, or did they actually go to do something proportional in Florida and Texas and California and Illinois and New York? Is it a weighted poll? Was it done by live operators? Was it done by computer? Was it an online poll? They're not going to get into the nitty gritty. They're not going to tell you, was it men and women? Were they the women over 35 and the men over 55? Where does this fall? What do they really think? Did they favoring Kamala against Donald Trump? If and only if it's J.D. Vance, and if he makes a change, will that change? Or is it Kamala because they feel bad? Or is it Kamala because, well, they heard, I don't know, she said she hangs out with a bunch of gay people and they're from California, so what the heck? Who knows? They don't know the full story. So these polls, what's quite interesting, these polls are not going to be accurate. But what I do think is interesting is because this information's been out there long enough, especially since the debate, is Newsmax published how YouGov says 92% believe Kamala Harris was complicit in the Biden cover-up. No shit. Do you really expect us to believe that for 4 years, this woman was on the ticket with the man that she accused of being a racist and didn't just see this as an opportunity to slide right into the Oval one day? I mean, we all hoped that she was the insurance policy for Joe Biden, but I guess we're wrong because Joe is unifying the party for the next generation of useful idiots. That's what he's doing. So YouGov Times of London polled 1,170 registered voters, July 22nd to 23rd. Wow, they must have a big staff. Margin of error, plus or minus 3.2%. Okay? And a great deal of these people believe Kamala knew. It's a what do you know and when did you know it kind of thing. She knew. Don't let her fool you. This woman is bad, bad, bad business. Almost as bad, if not worse, than Christopher Wray, who's now going to, I guess he and his FBI, who are investigating what's going on with President Trump as a result of the shooting in Butler, and they're going to claim it wasn't a shooting, or that Donald Trump wasn't hit in the ear by a bullet, that it was shrapnel, because now we had grenades there or something? So here's what we know. The FBI that America doesn't trust, the thugs who have been weaponized for Joe Biden, not every FBI agent, but just the thugs who've been weaponized against American citizens on behalf of the Biden family, they are going to cast doubt over what happened. But don't worry, Donald Trump is not going to tolerate that piece of baloney coming from Christopher Wray's mouth. Instead, Donald Trump is going back to Butler, Pennsylvania for a great and wonderful rally. That's right. He is going back. He's going back to the scene of the crime. He's going back to where it all happened, and he's saying, I don't care what the left says, what they do, and I'm definitely not letting Kamala get the bump. So he's going back. He just published it before I came to record. He wants to go and honor Cory Comparator, or Comparator. I apologize for mispronouncing the name. And he's going to go there, and it's not saying the date, but he's about to go back and they're going to do a big rally there once again. Let's finish the job and finish the rally, right? So he's going back. And then what else happened today? Donald Trump met with Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. I had a friend who was actually on the highway here in Florida call me going, you can't believe the size of this motorcade. Clearly, they're worried. The sheriff here in Palm Beach County, Rick Bradshaw, now going for like his 70th year in office. He's out there making sure everybody knows nothing was going to happen on his watch. And I actually believe the man. This is a man who doesn't mess around. So he made sure Prime Minister Netanyahu had a great visit to Mar-a-Lago with his wife, where they were welcomed very warmly by President Trump, and Prime Minister Netanyahu handed him a picture from a grandfather who has a baby granddaughter in captivity held by the barbarians of Hamas somewhere in Gaza. And this is a baby still in diapers. And they sent a picture, and President Trump said, we're going to take care of it. He didn't do what that piece of garbage Kamala Harris did and try to pressure him into a ceasefire. No, I mean, you read the press coverage of what this woman, I want to say so many bad words right now, but I'm worried like my grandmother and other family members might be listening, as they tend to. And, I don't want to be screamed at for impolite language here, especially since it's about to be Shabbat and I got to face some of these people at my dinner table. So here we are, Kamala Harris, cackling Kamala, in her first major diplomatic meeting, tells our greatest, dearest ally that I've told Prime Minister Netanyahu it's time to get this deal done. So for everyone who's been calling for a ceasefire, everyone yearns for peace. I see you. I hear you. Let's get the deal done so we can get a ceasefire to end the war. Lady, we need to get the hostages back. That little baby girl in the picture that Prime Minister Netanyahu handed to President Trump, she needs to come home to her family. What are you doing about that, lady? Huh? You're a moron. You couldn't find your way out of a Cracker Jack box, but you're going to sit here and talk down to Prime Minister Netanyahu? Who the hell do you think you are? Sorry, she got no right to talk like that to Prime Minister Netanyahu. That's our DEI vice president. She is what we Jews say is a shunda, okay? It's a shame that she represents this government and the great people and this great nation. This woman has no place in leadership. And why? I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm going to go through. What else did she say? What happened over in Gaza in the past night is devastating. Devastating, really? Where were you when Hamas was filling up corridors and streets and building tunnels underneath hospitals? What were you doing to stop that? You were trying to send humanitarian missions with food and water and letting them kill their own people. And now you're sitting there with AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, and you're taking the side of terrorists. That's the way people who side, the terrorist sympathizers, talk like this. People who support and love Israel don't talk like this. They send out their Jewish husband who's got jungle fever to come to her rescue. This guy is the most weak-kneed, disgusting Jew I've ever met in my life. Between the two of them, they're like the people who tried to put my family on cattle cars in the 1930s and 40s. Okay, and I won't stand for it, and I won't let her be president of the United States. I'm going to keep educating America to rally this country to understand just how dangerous this moronic, insane woman with her word salads is going to be to the future of our republic. She wants to say that the pro-Hamas graffiti and rhetoric is abhorrent. Can't tolerate it. But hey, if they get arrested, she's going to bail them out like she did to BLM. Yeah, you remember BLM, summer 2020, $2 billion in damage done to the cities of this country? Kamala Harris started a fund to bail these people out of jail. Domestic terrorists. She bailed domestic terrorists out of jail. She funded it. She fundraised for it. She did what she could. Yeah, that's what she did. So what happens when you do that kind of disgusting work? You get Michelle and Mrs. Obama to endorse you. And they talk about how you've got the vision, the character, and the strength that this critical moment demands. Really? Does turning on Israel sound like the character and the strength that the critical moments demand? I don't think so. And they go on to say that President Biden's decision to select Kamala, they agree, was one of the best decisions he ever made. Really? Did she give him a blowjob like she gave to Willie Brown in San Francisco? That's the only thing I got to wonder here. Because it's the only way this lady has made it to anywhere. This is ridiculous. Let's go through, okay? Because everybody's publishing stuff about Kamala, and there are things you've got to know. Because it isn't just about Israel, and it's not just about her support for BLM. Let's make sure you've got the facts, but I'll be back to you in just a moment.
You are listening to Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
Bryan Rudnick, Rally for the Republic, here to give you the facts on cackling Kamala, America's most dangerous criminal. Oh, I meant politician. Well, maybe that's one and the same. That's the way I view it. What do you need to know? Start taking notes. You're going to want to know this. You're going to want to explain this to your friends and your family and your loved ones, because Kamala Harris is not sympathetic. She's not empathetic. She's not a nice person. How do I know? Really? 92% of her staff left her in the last 3 years. Okay? That doesn't sound like the kind of leader that people are fighting to serve and be in the office and be around. No, that sounds like a tyrant. So that's like worse than the people who complained that I used to make them show up to campaign meetings at 6:30 in the morning. But I digress. I mean, because I don't think if Prime Minister Netanyahu handed her the picture of a little baby girl in captivity being held hostage by the barbarians of Hamas, that she would feel bad. No, she'd say, "Oh, we got to get a ceasefire done because somebody told me those are the buzzwords that the progressives want me to use. Buzzwords for the word salad." That's Kamala. Saturday Night Live, by the way, I'm highly encouraging y'all to watch it. I bet you it's going to start getting even better. So, because they got that one actress and she just loves to make fun of Kamala. Why? Because Kamala's full of word salads. Let's remember that. Not just world, but word salads. Okay? And she's got one of the most liberal voting records in the history of our country, the United States Senate. GovTrack, now that she's the nominee or presumptive nominee, all the liberal media want to sanitize and whitewash all the videos of her and the internet postings and everything and anything. Most importantly, as Breitbart reported earlier this week, 2019 organization called GovTrack ranked the most liberal senators. Kamala Harris was ranked farther to the left than Vermont's Bernie Sanders and Massachusetts's Elizabeth Warren. If you rank farther to the left than those people, you're worse than a socialist. Because remember, Bernie's a socialist. So if you're farther to the left than Bernie, you are the definition of a socialist or worse. That's what we got here. I did my homework for you. Yes, I really did. I spent a lot of time the last few days doing homework so I can help educate Americans like you, liberty-loving Americans concerned for the future of this great nation, who want to raise a family, who want to see generations of Americans continue, who understand that presidential elections have consequences. Yeah, they really do. Your vote does matter. Yes, we have an electoral college, and contrary to what the left wants to tell you, your vote matters. Now, of course, it only matters to them when they get to do ballot harvesting and steal things. Otherwise, it matters. And yes, once in a while in a clean and fair election that we have, it really matters. So what do you need to teach your friends and family about Kamala? Let's go through the facts, and only the facts, for a few moments here. I'm summarizing. Get your pen and papers ready. This is a big list, very big, very important list. First, I think we should talk about Reverend Amos Brown. He's the pastor of the Third Baptist Church of San Francisco. He will be the Reverend Right moment of the 2024 election. I don't know if the chickens are coming home to roost yet, but Reverend Brown, Third Baptist Church of San Francisco, has made it clear that Kamala is a dues-paying member of this esteemed church. She has previously referred to him as, quote-unquote, my pastor. And he preys on his wisdom and guidance at the 2022 annual session of the National Baptist Convention USA. Reverend Brown wants people to understand that when you're hanging out with him in the Third Baptist Church of San Francisco, they're promoting reparations. And Kamala is on board with that. So you, whether you're a first, second, third, fourth generation American, you didn't come over on the Mayflower. You didn't run one of those boats that, brought slaves over from Sierra Leone or anywhere else in Africa, but you should pay her and anybody who looks like her with a lighter or even darker pigmentation to your skin to help divide America even farther. No lie, no exaggeration. On to more facts. Kamala, on video, we have the proof, has made it clear she intends to abolish the filibuster, a great tradition of the United States Senate that allows bad legislation to be killed. But hey, why do you need tradition when you're, fixing America and deconstructing it along the way? On video, once again, Kamala supports Medicare for all. On video, again, Kamala wants to defund the police. This is the same woman, again, who I've mentioned to you, has sought to fund and provide funds for BLM members who were incarcerated after destroying cities in 2020. She has made it clear, all of this is on video, she wants to ban fracking. She said she wants to pass the Green New Deal or Green New Energy policies. She believes that more police on the streets will not provide for more safety. She believes the idea of more police in your neighborhood will not make you safer. She probably prefers the drug dealers to keep things in order. Okay, back to the facts. She was just recently on RuPaul's drag show, so I guess we can count her out between that and her promotion of abortion as not exactly being socially conservative. You've already heard me say she favors reparations. She has said, and again, we have the video, she seeks to abolish ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency, thinks it needs to be completely scrapped and redone. I always find this funny when liberals or leftists talk about it because you're talking about an entity that's there to help protect our country in so many ways. And they talk about more needs to be done on the border. As somebody who has personally served as the National Communications Director for the Minutemen Civil Defense Corps, I can tell you the biggest problem in our country is not the need for more laws. It's not the need to deconstruct and rebuild ICE. It's actually the fact that our politicians aren't properly funding Border Patrol. They're not properly putting up a wall. They're not building it because we passed a bill. Even 2006 was a Border Fence Act under Bush. So guess what? Fund it, build it. Fund the Border Patrol, support them, treat them properly. They're members of law enforcement. Stop trying to defund our law enforcement. Enforce the laws of this country. Okay. In addition, I've seen videos, where Kamala said She's in favor of amnesty for illegals and wants to give them health care. What does all this say? This woman will deconstruct and destroy America, and she'll make you pay for the privilege of it. Those are only about 12 things that I could quickly pull together to share with you. Over the next few months, about 100 days to go here in this great election, we're going to hear a whole lot more. I mean, we're unraveling years and years of the onion layers of the Kamala Harris story. There's going to be, stories about her leniency on criminals, stories about how tough she was on Black Americans who were arrested in San Francisco and put in prison over a joint. Not like they were drug dealers, but she treated them like they were drug dealers. And now she wants to talk about being great to Black America. It's amazing. She didn't care about her own community. She stepped right on them in order to get to power and stay in power, because that's who she is. And that's what America needs to understand about this woman. This is a bad, bad woman. Where's the guy from Seinfeld? Okay. I don't know if I think he was Pakistani, and he would wave his finger and he would say about Jerry Seinfeld, bad, bad man. Well, guess what? If he was here, he saw Kamala, he'd say, bad, bad woman, not sure of her pronoun, but we'll assume woman. You need to get ready, because that list I gave you of about 12 to 15 things, that list is going to grow. And you want to have, when I come on air and you're listening to me, you want to have this list ready. Just get a whole pad of paper, whole pad. 20 sheets isn't going to be enough, because I'm going to fill it for you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you the ammunition you need to help educate your friends, your families, the neighbor to the left, the neighbor to the right, okay? The one across the street, the one underneath you, and if you live in an apartment building. I'm going to help you educate them. I'm going to give you the facts, absolute facts. These are not going to be whitewashed. They're not going to be sanitized. They're not going to be filtered. They're not going to be speculation or editorialized. Of course, I'm going to editorialize sometimes, but I'm going to make sure I distinguish between when I'm editorializing and when I'm giving you the facts that you need to help educate fellow Americans, because our friends, our neighbors, even if they vote Democrat, they're God's children and they love this country too. They just may not share in the way to love the way we do. And that's why you're here and I'm here, because we got to help them. But don't put them on this air, because I'm going to tell you things we don't want them to hear about what we as freedom-loving Americans need to do to save this country. But educating our friends, our family, our loved ones, our neighbors, and the people we meet at the grocery stores, like you heard Bianca talk about a few days ago, that's what we need to do. It needs to be one-on-one interaction. Okay, you've got to help educate. You've got to educate with facts, not with hyperbole. Hyperbole helps sometimes, and yes, the negative ads help too. But I'm going to help you get the ammunition you need. Big, thick pad of paper, notepad, have it ready. I'm going to feed you the ammunition. Why? Because Kamala Harris is one of the worst human beings God has ever put on his green earth. This woman will destroy America to step on you to have power, fame, and cackling. Okay? And it's so disgusting that she would treat Prime Minister Netanyahu this way. I'm not as upset that she missed the speech. She had to go hang out with her gal pals at the sorority and remind them that, hey, everything I told you at those parties when we were drinking is coming true. I'm going to have power, and now I can cackle and nobody can make fun of me for it. That's what she's hoping. That's what she probably told them. This is what we're stuck with. So if you want to save this country, okay, this is not just about Donald Trump. I want to be clear. You've got congressional candidates all around the country. I want to remind you, as I did a month or so ago, you've got to help fund them. They've got to win. You're going to have Senate seats. We've got to win. You can't leave Chuck Schumer in charge. You'll end up with somebody more liberal than Kamala Harris for the next GovTrack poll. You don't want to do that. You really don't. And we've got hostages in Israel, and they got to be rescued. And if we don't have the right people in Congress, you're going to be stuck funneling money to Hunter Biden through Ukraine. That's the reality you face. I don't care how many tears he had when he watched his father give the dumb speech on Wednesday night that he bumbled through and had more makeup on than the average streetwalker. Okay? It was amazing. The man has been hanging out with COVID in Delaware, and he comes back having been in a house with the best tan money can buy. So I was reading an article, I believe it was an AP article, about how the FCC is going to do rulemaking, and rulemaking is is the way laws, hopefully made by Congress, are interpreted by the various agencies and then carried out. That's very different from Kamala, who's already put out and said she's by fiat and executive order, she's going to ban guns because while she's an attorney and wants to claim that she's a prosecutor and she's going to she knows Donald Trump's type, she forgot the Constitution of the United States and our Second Amendment. So she's going to violate all that. What the rulemaking is all going to be about is how in these ads that we in the political consulting class implement for elections, it's not supposed to not take place for this election cycle, but they're going to have very strict guidelines on the use of artificial intelligence. And while my professional association with the American Association of Political Consultants already has self-policed us, I think it's funny that the administration under Joe Biden, who basically is a president through artificial intelligence, because let's face it, everything about him is artificial and there's no intelligence. Yet his administration is going to create guidelines for us on how to campaign with artificial intelligence. I just thought it was very ironic. Wanted to share that. I'd encourage you all to read about it if you like that kind of inside baseball. So this is Rally for the Republic. And I thank you for joining us today, because this is the America for the Americans. It's not a show for friends of Cackling Kama or King Obama or RuPaul. It's not a show for the barbarians they support or the useful idiots that they motivate. And it's definitely not a show for people who champion DEI. This is not a show for anybody other than those of us who love mom, apple pie, who cling to our guns and religion. It's for the people who love America and our great ally in Israel. These are for people who share the vision of a great nation that was bestowed upon us by our founding fathers. People who are willing to sacrifice life, liberty, and their own lives, their sacred honor. Not for people like Joe Biden who want you to duke it out at the battle box or who've been propped up. So I ask you to join us at Rally for the Republic every week as I promote at least 3 or more times a week. These episodes go live. And in between, I really appreciate those of you who are coming to me and communicating with me and engaging with us at feedback@rallyfortherepublic.com. Share and like us. Most importantly, stand shoulder to shoulder and help fight with us to save this great nation. As it's Friday, I also want to wish those of you who are celebrating a great Shabbat Shalom. I'm Bryan Rudnick, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you for joining us on Rally for the Republic, where we are fighting for America's future. Visit 1776coalition.com. Rally for the Republic podcast is available on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and download. Join Bryan Rudnick next time as we continue to fight for the American way of life and challenge the hypocrisy. This is Rally for the Republic.